Hi, Michael Collins here. Distinguishing freedom and liberty. Again, we begin with just how they are defined, freedom and liberty. And so let us start with the freedom as written by Rosenthal Pubal in his essay Reflections on Ancient and Modern Freedoms. Pubal explains that there is no consensus on the definition of freedom. Well, great. Where does that leave us? Rosenthal continues with two conceptions in the Western tradition: the liberal understanding of the Greeks and the liberal understanding and the Greek understanding of freedom. Greeks warned of the tyranny of external restraints as well as the tyranny of the passions. Further, the Greeks view freedom only to the precise degree that one has acquired the virtues. And Greek philosophers are none too certain about negative freedom in Greek democracy. Thomas Hobbes argues in his Leviathan that liberty or freedom is the absence of opposition or external impediments, or a free man is not hindered to do that he is a will to do. I paraphrase that. Interestingly, Koos Malin, in his dissection of statism, writes, and I quote, "The concept of freedom in this case is so-called negative freedom, immunity from intervention or prescription by the state," end of quote. Further, Isaiah Berlin, quoted in Rosenthal, writes of the negative freedom or freedom of constraints, which is somewhat different from the Greeks. We'll see this again in Malin's foundational tenets. These are defined further as civil freedoms, as we know of the freedom of speech, freedom of religion, as those covered in the U.S. Bill of Rights. However, let us look at Gary Roberts. Gary Roberts is a professor here at Liberty, and his definitions are: freedom is defined from the Germans as neighborliness, as opposed to the definition of liberty, which comes from our friends the Romans, and libertas, meaning rights and duties. So freedom is neighborly with all the meaning of the word, and liberty is connected with your duties and your rights. This definition, I feel, seems to say the Magna Carta presented liberty but not freedom. As I interpret it, there are several mentions of liberty but few mentions of freedom. Perhaps the definitions were not the same as they are now. It seems that freedom is more approach of the populace than liberty, which has its requirements. So, as to historians, how do we answer the difference? Dr. Roberts states they are not synonymous, but how will we answer the question of liberty and freedom? So I say both, as they seem to work quite well together. Thank you.